we're talking about the history of English blues, an abbreviated history because that could be hours long.
Yes.
So we're going to take it back. We're going to take it back to the skiffle king, Lonnie Donegan, and you mentioned Lonnie Donegan being an important figure in the English music scene, not necessarily blues, but
Right.
there's some, like, I can hear some Lead Belly kind of influence and that kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So that
And
kind of blues, but Lonnie Donegan, my understanding of skiffle is it is a style of music that will use primitive instruments. It was rhythm based music. It was primitive instruments, and anybody could start a skiffle band. And you could have a wash tub bass, you could have a jug, somebody could play the guitar. Um, but it gave kids in England in the mid 50s something that they could hang their hat on to say, "Hey, I can do this." And
yeah.
they shaped their. That's where their music. That's where the Rolling Stones came from. That's where the Beatles came from. So,
Yes.
so Lonnie Donegan, that's the start. Even though it's like a prehistory of the blues.
It seems to be. They mention it all the time.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Then there's other mentions to Alexis Korner.
Yes.
Okay, he is a he and John Mayall were like the father figures of the English blues scene.
Right.
John Mayall, uh, discovering so many of the. We have Eric Clapton. We have uh, we have um, we have Peter Green.
Yes.
We have Mick Taylor.
Yes.
We have a lot of people.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people. But also, and then earlier than John Mayall is the Yardbirds.
Right.
Because the Yardbirds and I think an honorable mention the Rolling Stones, because when the Rolling Stones started, they didn't want to be a rock and roll band. They wanted to be a blues band or an R&B band. But they didn't consider themselves a rock and roll band because they considered, I don't know what they were considering. This was in the dark years of rock and roll when it seemed to
Yeah.
go away for a little bit. So they were a blues band. They were absolutely inspired by Chicago blues, some Delta blues, some lots of different kinds of blues. So with that said, what do we know about the Yardbirds? So the Eric Clapton years. Eric Clapton was their first lead guitar player. That is a
Yes.
fact.
Well,
I don't know if it is a fact. Is it?
he wasn't the first.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
named
As soon as I
Topping.
said it, I knew that was wrong.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Topping. I don't know what his first name was a guitar player in the band before
Right.
Clapton.
Right.
Um, he was still around a few years ago playing. I don't know. I never heard the guy. I don't know what his background is. I have a book on the Yardbirds. I was a huge
The
fan.
very first Yardbirds shows were with that guy.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'm not sure that he recorded with the Yardbirds.
I'm not sure he did either.
Yes.
I've never heard him. I've never. You're right. I've never heard him.
So Eric Clapton comes along, and an important figure, but he was in the Yardbirds. He replaced what's the guy's name again?
Topping. His
Okay.
last name is Topping. They called him Topping.
Okay.
I was just his nickname. I don't know what his first name actually was.
Okay.
He did
Okay,
replace.
so Eric Clapton replaced him, and
Right.
Clapton's a very, very important figure from the standpoint, not because he can play all those Clapton licks that we know nowadays, but because he was on the ground floor of a new sound to, he was borrowing from all the cool English or American guitar players.
Right.
That was kind of underground. That was kind of the indie. So he was crossing over. He was a white kid from England who's taken on all these influences from the Chicago blues, and so. But what was that first song we were talking about?
I Ain't Got You, which was a Chicago blues song.
And and that supposedly inspired many people to become lead guitar players. And
Yeah,
because
listen to the
I read
solo.
that article you sent me, and it said something about this is Peter Green. Some of his roots was he was one of the first guys to be able to play that Clapton solo exactly note perfect or whatever, which is the way that we learned how to do stuff, which is the way
Yes,
that they learned how to do stuff.
yes.
So all of these guys, most of them didn't have a teacher.
No,
Clapton didn't have a teacher. He
no.
he took things off of the recordings.
Yes,
He, and which I think is one of the reasons why he got along well with John Mayall, because John Mayall had all the recordings. But anyway, I'm getting ahead
right.
of myself.
That's
So
okay.
the I Ain't Got You, that is, say, the first maybe important, really important blues rock that Clapton did with the Yardbirds, worthy of checking out. Maybe it could be even a lesson later. So, with that said, he quits the Yardbirds like a couple months later, maybe. I don't know. He wasn't with the Yardbirds for very long because
Not very long.
they weren't bluesy enough for him.
They were already going towards rock, and he didn't
Yeah,
like it.
and pop. Yeah,
He called it pop.
yeah.
He
So
didn't like
he
it.
he was he was very anti that because he thought of that as selling out.
Yeah.
So his replacement was Jeff Beck, and then Jeff Beck did all kinds of cool stuff.
Although Page was recommended first, but Page was making a lot of money as a session player, and he
Right.
decided to keep doing it. He said, "No, give it to Eric."
Right.
I mean,
Or
to
Jeff.
Jeff. Yeah, not Eric. He give it to Jeff. Yeah, and of course that made the band. I mean, when Beck got in there, because what he brought. But yeah,
So who do you think Clapton really took his influence from?
he always talks about Freddie King, and he talks about Otis Rush,
Okay.
and you really can hear. Of course, he did the two big songs of those guys. They had big songs. Of course, he did Hideaway, which was Freddie King's song on the
Right.
Bluesbreakers album, and he did All Your Love I Miss Loving, which was the Otis Rush song with the minor key arpeggios in there. So he's always said those two, and when you listen to him and then listen to them from the same era, you'd say, yeah, yeah. I mean, he listened to a lot of people, but
Okay.
he listened to them.
But
I
there's
think
a difference between his style. Okay, so long story short, he quits the Yardbirds and then he becomes friends somehow with John Mayall, who is like the Muddy Waters figure of English blues.
yeah,
But he took Eric under his wings and showed he was really knowledgeable. He was
yes,
about all these things,
right.
really blues crazed, and he had a great record collection.
He
And
did.
Eric Clapton would just take and learn it note for note and figure it out. And then eventually the learning curve is the idea is, yes, you want to learn how to play like them, but we don't want to treat it like it were classical music. We want to learn to make our improvisation sound like that.
Good point.
So so then the Bluesbreakers was ridiculously, especially the Beano album was it's still a landmark album.
Still is. Yeah.
And that's important. Why is that album important?
Um, well, the playing, of course, but people still talk about when they're asked about it. Players who were around at the time, uh, like my age,
Mm-hmm.
talk about the tone that
Right.
Clapton got with the Les Paul through the Marshall. Now it
Right.
was a
So the
combo
Marshall is a major part of the sound of why it
major
sounds
part.
different.
Nobody sounded
So
like
technology
that. Nobody
reshaping
sounded like that.
the sound of yes. Okay.
Yes.
And he wasn't with John Mayall for that long. Like he had a couple different stints with him.
Yes.
I think
Just that one record, though. I mean, they had some live stuff they did, but
yeah.
yeah. Yes.
So then that album, the beat when it's called the Beano album, that is like later lots of people cite that as like Eddie Van Halen says that's his,
Yeah.
which is difficult to I can't always see the influence there. Which
No, I don't
said,
hear it myself so
but
much, but I don't. I don't
that's
question
his
it.
ground zero.
I
That's
don't.
his
Yeah, I don't. I don't question it. Yeah, that he did. I don't question
yeah.
it.
So Peter Green replaces him. Okay, so Peter Green's style is different than Eric Clapton's
Yes.
because who did Peter Green who was he more like?
Uh, Bigger BB King influence than Clapton, though
Okay.
Clapton was influenced by BB King, but big,
Mhm.
big BB King influence.
Right.
And there's that great quote. We may as well say it. That great quote from BB King. He actually repeated it when I was interviewing him, and I didn't even bring it up. That when he heard Peter Green, BB said, "He's the only other guitar player made me sweat."
Okay.
That's
I never
coming
heard
from
that.
BB. That's coming from BB King.
Right.
And I think part of that is because BB because he sounded like he had listened to him, and he
Right.
had, and Peter would have been the first to say it, of course.
Right.
Yeah, a virtuoso in his own way.
Right.
Um, I think not to compare. We're talking about great people and in their own way, but I think, I mean, Clapton went to rock pretty quickly, blues and rock, and Green did rock too in Fleetwood Mac, the few records that he made before he did. But I hear a deeper emotion, and then not to take anything away from Clapton because he certainly could do it. But I hear that was more of what Green was about, was going deeper and as deep as he could get
Yeah.
into the sound and the string bending,
Right. And
choking.
also what I keep hearing over and over again about Peter Green is he got fairly quickly he understood that playing 1,000 notes isn't going to get you there.
Correct.
He tried to whittle it down to just the essential
He,
notes.
he did. He could
And
play a lot, but he didn't.
he said something about his and John Mayall helped him how you can write your songs and they don't have to be a blues, which is kind of, and maybe probably think it's obvious, but blues artists, a lot of times the 12-bar blues is the thing they start with. It's
Yeah,
that's
good point. Yeah,
but
I hadn't heard,
but
I hadn't
he's a
heard that.
songwriter. You can write in different forms and all that. You can take what we do and make it right for all these different forms. The latest after Peter Green, and Peter Green quits John Mayall to join Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac.
Correct.
Okay, which was shrunken down to Fleetwood Mac,
Right. With
even when he
John
was in there.
McGree.
And then
Yeah.
and then Mick Taylor replaces him, and he is
Yes.
the latest virtuoso.
Right. He's
So that
he's
is
the
where
third.
we are gonna. So all of these players are um, they all study kind of the immerse yourself into the music, learn by ear, learn by feel, also experience, play with other people, make mistakes, but learn, get into it, get into the playing with people, and none of it is downloading the tablature and playing the exact solo
No.
note perfect. You're
No.
missing the point. So I think one of the things I want to study is I want to like how did these people view getting better on their instrument? How do they learn their craft? And yes, they learn from all these people.
Right.
Well, how did they study it? Because there's some players that want to do note perfect stuff and treat the guitar, the blues guitar, like it's a classical instrument. But
Very true.
any of these players that we're talking about, these are the core of the English blues Titan kind of thing. That's
They
not how they
found
did it.
they found their voice pretty early. I mean, they had something special. You're talking about special players.
Yes.
If
So in the future, we could do a bigger talk on it's all of them, I'm sure,
yeah, I'd like to,
but Peter Green especially because I know
especially.
you know as much about Peter Green. You wrote a book about with his.
I was fortunate too.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
So-
Very fortunate too.
All righty, Dave. Thank you.
My pleasure.
That is the English taken from Lonnie Donegan on up. So John Mayall, who I saw in the last year of his life, he came to York, and it was like one of the last shows he performed.
Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I saw him and got to meet him too and interview him a couple times. Yeah. Wonderful man. Great
Yes.
man.
And he was like, yeah, blues music needs more father figures.
Yeah.
In order for things to grow like that, they need more father figures.
I don't know. Is that you and me?
Yes.
Are we that generation?
That's my point. That's my point. Yes.
And
so
we
we'll
gladly
be your
share-
father figures.
Yeah, and we gladly do it. We
Yes.
gladly wear the mantle.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you make $1 million, then you owe us a residual.
Yeah.
So anyway, until next time, and there'll be lots of stuff we'll talk about. And I thank you for this. This is
My pleasure, as always, Ron.
I am grateful. I'm grateful for
My
this.
pleasure.
All righty. See you next time. Hi, this is Rod from Boomer Guitar Sessions. I personally wanted to thank you for being part of our community. If you like what we're doing here and you want to see more of it, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. And this helps me spread my musical messages to all over the world. Thank you. I appreciate you. And always remember, you can do this.